Professor, for the second video assignment, you asked us what is the structure agency model and how it's related with media and the society behavior, and to give a few examples of how it acted. First of all, the structure agency model has two main definitions or things that we should know is what is agency and what is structure. Agency is just basically our individuals and our free will to do stuff and to be independent and to be able to make decisions by ourselves and to have our own choices. We as individual decide what to do and what not to do. On the other hand, the structure is how we work as a society together. um, the free or the recurring pattern that we have as a social behavior, for example, our norms, our beliefs, our customs as a culture, as a religion, and all of that. Now, how do they work together? Well, basically, the agency is what maintains or could alter the structure, and at the same time, the structure, which is what we are accustomed to do, is what might constrain our free will to do stuff. Now, when talking about how media falls into this model, I think it falls in between agency and structure. It could act either as a constraint, or it can constrain us from doing something, or actually alter and maintain our certain beliefs or the structure and the social behavior that we have. But to explain it more, I think there are different types of relations that we have in between our typical sociological um, relations. So, for example, in between institutions, like the government putting on a constraint on the media, right? That would be institutions, being the media an institution and being the government an institution. They put a certain law or certain constraint or something that we should not do, and that will constrain the agency from doing something that they want. We don't have no longer free will of putting out whatever we want because we have to follow something that they put out. So the media will no longer be able to express whatever they want because they have something constraining themselves. Because of these, they will either alter the people, the audience that watch that certain media into believing that maybe they don't want that constraint, or if they cannot get the information, they will maintain certain ideologies or not get the information that they want to because they have this certain constraint, and the structure will not change because of that, and it will continue and continue the cycle in which we get the constraints so the agency doesn't change, and by default the structure continues being the same or social behavior continues being the same. Then you have another type of relation that is within the institutions. It means that it's something inside the same institution, like a newspaper. In the newspaper, you had a board of directors, and even though they're not the ones writing the news, they do take decisions into what to publish and what not to publish. So they also act as a constraint in some way. If they don't want something published, then you no longer have the free will to publish it. And it will maintain the structure and our social behavior the same, and we are not free of doing whatever you want because you have something else that will constrain it from you. And then you have between institutions and individuals, that basically is between the media and the audience itself. And that is just, how people react to certain things. Like if you see something enough times on the television, um, it will most likely change your social behavior. Like if you think, let's say, something that you wouldn't find acceptable at first, something that it might see unacceptable because of social constraints, let's say, but you see it enough times in the media that you as an agency start adapting it or seeing it as completely normal, and that reproduces and alter the way that we see things and change the structure, because change eventually the social behavior of everyone in the society, and that will let other people in the agency change, or on the other side will um constrain people that are against it, and will eventually shame them and maintain, so we can maintain the structure and social behavior the same, which is the majority of people think. Let's say that you see in the media that eating hot dogs will make you sick, and we will eventually probably believe it, and that will constrain us from eating hot dogs, and us as an agency will eventually change that, and we alter the way that we see hot dogs, and that's our social behavior now, believing that hot dogs are gonna make us sick, and by default we do that cycle again and again and again and again until just becomes our normal thing to believe that um, hot dogs are wrong. So I think that media is really important, not for structure or agency, but it's in the middle of the cycle of what a structure agency model is, because it could act as a constraint or it could act as something that will change the structure eventually, and that will change everything.